So I'm going to show you how to make my oat and honey loaf, a really delicious bread. I've got 350 grams of strong white bread flour, 150 grams of strong wholemeal bread flour, 50 grams of jumbo oats, anywhere between 5 and 10 grams of fine sea salt. I use about 7, and a sachet or about 5 grams of fast action, easy bake, instant yeast. It goes by all of those different names. And then I'm going to import in the honey. So I'm just going to squeeze in 20 grams of honey, and then I'm going to add the water. Okay, so I'm going to start with about 340 grams and see how much I need, because it will vary according to your flour. I'm just going to mix that through and splash in more water if I need it. So the oats absorb quite a bit, and so does the wholemeal flour. Oh, it smells gorgeous. Okay, so splash in a little bit more. Can you see the dry bits? Splash in a little bit more. This is the way I prefer to make bread. I'm getting my hands in there, I'm feeling what it feels like, and I'm making sure I'm squeezing it as I'm going to make sure there are no dry bits left in that dough, and adding water as I think fit. And as it sits, it's going to absorb some more water, so I'm just going to make sure that that bran has got plenty of water to absorb. So it can be on the slightly sticky side at this point. I'm going to develop this dough using the stretch and fold method, so it's now going to sit and rest for at least half an hour, and then I'm going to give it its first round of stretch and fold, and then it will rest again for at least half an hour, another round of stretch and fold, rest, and then a third round of stretch and fold, and then it'll be allowed to sit and ferment. Shape it, let it rise, and then bake it when it's nicely proved and ready for baking. Okay, I think I can get away with a tiny bit more water, because a dry dough will make a very dry, heavy bread. So I'm just putting in 5 to 10 grams each time, squeezing it into that dough until I feel that the dough is nicely, softly sticky. So that's the consistency of the dough. I'm happy with that now. That is now going to sit. You can leave it a minimum of 10 minutes, but really half an hour is about right. The gluten starts to form, and you just come in with some gentle stretches and folds to help that network of gluten be nice and strong. So let's cover that up. I use a dinner plate, shower cap, tea towel, and we'll come back to it and do our first round of stretch and fold in half an hour. So the oat and honey dough has had 30 minutes now, just sitting, starting to form gluten, absorbing all of that water. So it's got a little bit of fermentation, honeycomb fermentation going on already underneath there just after half an hour. So the stretch and fold goes like this. I grab the bit furthest away, stretch and fold it over, quarter turn of the bowl, stretch, fold over, quarter turn, stretch, and fold, and I keep doing that until the dough develops elasticity and strength and starts to resist. Okay, so can you see it's now saying, I'm going to break if you pull me anymore, so that's enough. And then I'm going to leave it for another 30 minutes and repeat exactly that same stretch and fold maneuver, and then let rest for another 30 minutes and do stretches and folds. And as the gluten develops in the dough and the dough gets nice and strong, you'll want to do less stretch and folds each time. Okay, so it'll be quicker to react and become elastic and bounce back. So that's going to have 2 more rounds of stretch and fold, and then we're going to shape it. So I'll come back when we're shaping. Here's the oat and honey bread. It's had 3 rounds of stretch and fold with half an hour rest between each fold, and then probably about another half an hour. It's a nice warm dough, so it's lovely and risen now and ready to shape. Beautiful honeycomb fermentation going on underneath there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of semolina on the surface. I've got a 2-pound loaf tin. I'm just going to rub some olive oil all the way around that. Okay, I'm going to scrape my dough out. Okay, now this is the bit that's come out the bottom of the bowl. I'm just going to flip that over. This is where I did the stretching and folding. And then we're going to make Minnie Mouse ears at the top and fold to the centre. Minnie Mouse ears from the bottom and fold to the centre. And I'm going to tuck these two sides in and roll down from the top. You can see how lovely and airy this dough is. And that's the honey and the yeast working together to make a beautiful risen dough. Okay, and there's the shaped loaf. Now you could pop that, if you don't have a loaf tin, you could put that onto an oiled baking sheet, let it rise. Before it goes into the oven, cut it down with a serrated knife or a sharp knife or a razor blade down the centre or across the top for a nice bloomer. But I'm going to pop mine into the tin. Okay, and now it's going to rise again. Now it's a lovely warm dough, so about sort of 30 minutes. Let's just pop that really big bubble on the surface. About 30 minutes and it will be ready to go into the oven. So the oat and honey loaf now is ready for the oven. Okay, it's uniformly airy all over that loaf. You can see how much it's grown. So that's going to go into the oven, 220 degrees centigrade, gas mark 7, 430 degrees Fahrenheit, for 30 to 35 minutes until beautifully brown. So here's the oat and honey loaf. It's been at the oven about an hour and a half now. You should always allow your bread to cool completely when it's out, after it's out of the oven, before you cut into it. Otherwise you might think you underbaked it when actually all you really need to do was let it cool, because the starch is set as the bread cools. So let's slice into it and see what it looks like inside. It smells absolutely glorious. So there you go. That is your oat and honey bread. It's really delicious. It's great toasted for your breakfast.